Hey, real estate investors, are you focused on the wrong stuff? Well, you very well could be, because we've seen it for how many years now? Years and years and years. And when we say focused on the wrong stuff, here's what we mean. Every minute that you're not talking to a seller on the phone, you're wasting your time. So I'm going to let Deb give you some examples of the myriad ways that investors waste time, and they act as if they're busy.
We see this all the time, and that we start talking to people and realize that they've been creating logos or websites or blogs or YouTube videos or forms to fill out or postcard designs or just an endless number of things that, by the way, we already kind of have for our guys. And so one of the reasons that our solution works is that that's not real estate investing. It's marketing, advertising. It's working on content creation, or whatever you want to call that stuff. And we all need it. We all need logos. We all need marketing pieces. But
it doesn't mean you have to learn PHP and Perl and all this other crap.
Well, but and you don't need to know. Here's what I've seen. Like, sometimes people that come to real estate investing, they actually come from other fields, and they are interested in this business because it does. You can become a real estate investor with a little work and investment and the accumulation of knowledge in this business, and so it's not an insurmountable thing to go from being an accountant to a real estate investor, or a computer programmer to one. But a lot of times, what we see, and I see this continuity in a lot of our messages, in that people, investors that aren't kind of people focused or people oriented. They feel comfortable doing things that seem like they're accomplishing something. So, I got that new website built, or I got that new Facebook.
Right, and we're not hating on you.
It's all good
if you're, because you're somewhat of a tech guy, and I didn't mean it that way. It's that every minute you're spending doing other things and talking to sellers is pretty much a waste.
And look, if you're a one-man show and you need to. For right now, you need to build your own website. You need to build your own forms. You need to create your own postcards. That's cool, but one of the questions that we'll say to people is, "Man, that sounds like you've been really busy." And they'll say, "Oh yeah, I'm doing all this stuff." And we'll say, "How many homeowners did you talk to today?"
Yep.
And they'll say, "Well, I'm working on a website, and I'm going to get and people call." And it's like, "No, hang on. How many homeowners did you talk to today?" That were interested in selling your house, because if you could at least balance out the work on the busy stuff, the content,
do that. Look,
with the people
early in the morning before a seller. It's 6, 7 in the morning or in the evening when you're not going to be talking to sellers anyway. If you just love that stuff and you just want to build your own websites and do your own creative and this and that, but my contention is it's so inexpensive to outsource now. And have someone else do it.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you go to Fiverr or just to get this done for you, I mean, I don't know why anyone, even if you have the technical proficiency to do it, why would you do it?
Sometimes I think people don't value their time. Like they think, I could do my own landing page or thing or whatever. When for $49, you can go get one of those. And so they don't value their time. And then also, I think, there's, to some degree, I've caught people that kind of postponing the moment of where they have to engage with people.
Yeah, what? That's exactly right. It's a stall tactic because you really don't want to talk to people. You really don't want to get on the phone. That goes back to a previous video. You don't want to engage, and you've got that analysis paralysis.
So, I knew an investor a few years ago, and he kind of said the way that he spent his day. As he said, I might spend, like you're saying, in the morning, I might work on some of the projects I need to get done as far as my marketing or stuff like that. He said, but if I didn't have any callers that day, or if nobody had filled out my form that day, he would take a stack of door hangers, and he would drive into neighborhoods that where they were his top neighborhoods where he wanted houses. And he would walk along, and he would knock on the doors of certain, like if the house is kind of in rough shape, he would knock on the door and just say, hey, blah, 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 I'm in the neighborhood, hand them the door hanger. And then maybe the other houses he's just hanging it on, but
Right.
maybe every 10th house he would say, looks interesting. I wonder what's going on here. Now, you might say, oh, that's a waste of time. He didn't know if that was a renter. He didn't know if that guy had equity. You know what? He got up, got into his car, went out, talked to people in their houses, found a number of homeowners that way. Now, the thing was, maybe the person he spoke to wasn't the one who was interested in selling their house, but that person became an advocate for him, somebody that could hand his door hanger to their friend or something and say, hey, I met this guy the other day. He does that.
It's quite amazing that when there's activity, something happens, right? And I've noticed that motion beats meditation. That it's like in the old days when I owned a phone room. I had about 50 reps, and it was amazing to me how someone that would go from making say 15 calls a day to 200. It's amazing how they got more clients. It's amazing how they made more money, because it's just something about stirring things up and getting out there. Whether it's on the phone or just meeting and greeting or networking, whatever you do, that activity tends to. It always. It's a law of physics. I mean, it happens. You've got to get out there. You've got to get active.
Another guy I knew would take. He would make like flyers about I buy houses fast for cash, blah, blah, blah. And he would go and visit real estate brokerages. And he would just walk in and say, it's the broker here today, or, And what he ended up doing was he would go in and kind of say, I just wanted to introduce myself. If you have a client that has a house that's not going to sell the retail market, I would sure like to have a shot at it. And he created relationships with people who were talking to homeowners every day. So you can either kind of go look for them yourself, go find the people who are getting these homeowners, contacting them. He ended up doing presentations. Like he would go to the broker and say, hey, I'd love to bring your office donuts on Monday and just give you guys a 10-minute talk about what I do. And so the broker would say, oh, it sounds like free donuts, right? So it'd say 9 o'clock Monday, tell the agent some guys come by 9 o'clock Monday with some donuts. He'd show up, might be 10 guys in the office, he'd set up, give him the donuts, have a little talk, give him his business cards, give him his little brochure, and move on. And he'd get one of those a week where he was going into an agency with donuts.
Right. So,
but again, it gets at
activity. It's getting things going.
Right? Getting out, meeting people that are either homeowners or a source to get to the homeowner.
Exactly. And his time is much better spent doing that than spending those 4 or 5 hours in the morning learning how to build a landing page. Right. I mean, it's just efficiency, right?
I think because a lot of times, so much time in the day. I could be guilty of the same thing in that it's easier to do kind of tactical things and not engage with people. It's just it easier for some people. We don't if you're not a people person or whatever, it doesn't know how you describe yourself. But the reality is we are all people. We all have the ability to be empathetic. We all have the ability to listen. We all have the ability to present a solution to someone who has a problem. And if you're not doing those things, you're probably not doing real estate. You're probably doing something that's ancillary, like marketing or things or content creation. And all those things have a role. But at the core of what we're doing in real estate is we are engaging with people, presenting a solution to their problem, and that's really
it's all about engagement. I mean, it really is, because like I say, it goes back to this is a people business, and most incredibly successful investors, they're introverts, believe it or not, right? They are, because a lot of times extroverts can be a little bit too over the top. And it's the same even in platform speaking, which I've been involved in, and some people that I know that they do this for a living, platform speaking. When they get off that stage, they go to the hotel room and that's it. They don't go socialize. But when they're on that stage for that 30 minutes or an hour, they are on, and that audience is captivated, and no one would ever know. And see, that's almost analogous to what we're talking about. When you're meeting with that seller, you need to be on, whether it's in person or on the phone, right? So that's how you have to think of it, is, you know what, for these 30 minutes or an hour that I'm engaged with this seller, I need to be on, and then I can go get in my car and I can go crawl back under the bed or whatever.
You know,
be on.
A lot of newer people in this business, I'm going to be just really blunt with you guys. They're avoiding the moment that they make an offer, because at that moment, it's the moment of truth. I can give you $100,000 for this house. And they're worried that the person is going to have a negative reaction because they know they're expecting 140 or whatever the numbers are. And they know this number is not going to meet that expectation. And so they'll kind of almost avoid it. They'll avoid that moment of truth, that moment of, this is what I can do. Can this, does this work for you? So you have to... You have to know that that's what this is all about. And ultimately, you only close the deal if you present the deal.
That's it.
And, I heard something one of my mentors one time said, if you're not a little bit embarrassed about the offer, it's probably not a good offer for you.
That's right.
Right? And it's true, because we have to make money in this business, or this is not a business, right?
And you shouldn't be ashamed of it, because in the vast majority of cases, this is the only solution that seller has. They have to sell for cash, or they're going to lose the house, and they'll have nothing.
Or so they're doing whatever the situation is.
Yeah,
it's going to get worse if they don't.
It's going to get worse
if
they don't address it, right? And remember, they reached out to you. They initiated the call. Okay, in the vast majority of cases, so they raise their hand and say, "Help me."
And and I think one thing that will get, if you are one of those people that kind of dreads that moment of truth, when you say, I can give you 100 for the house, if you're that kind of person, I can tell you that gets easier after you do it a few times. Because one of the things that I found, when I knew that they were really hoping for something more, the reality is, I can't offer that. It makes no sense.
Right.
I would lose money. So I've got to offer something I can actually do for the person. And that, in this case, in my example, I can offer them 100. I can't offer them 140. That would be giving up every bit of my profit in the deal. So ultimately, it gets easier after you do it a few times. And what I've found is when people, say, if they express disappointment, I kind of always say, look, I totally understand. I just can't pay that. I mean, I would love to. I wish I could give you 140 for the house. The reality is, if I did that, I would lose money, and I would likely go out of business if I did that a few times. So that's not something I can do. Wish I could. So you can even show empathy when you're presenting a reality.
Absolutely.
And the last thing I'd say about that is that, because I do think this is one of the hang-ups, is this moment of truth of presenting the offer, is that sometimes people say, you real estate investors get houses at an enormous discount. And what I say is, no, what we do is we pay what they are worth in their current condition.
Yep.
That house that guy thinks is worth 140 because he saw something on Zillow, and it's not considering the fact that his roof is falling in and the foundation's cracked. He thinks it's worth more. The reality is, it is worth what I can pay. It is worth what you can pay. Have confidence in the fact that it's worth what you're offering. You're not offering you're not trying to pull the wool over somebody's eyes.
No.
And in fact, if you offered what he wanted, you'd be out of business.
Yeah, exactly. Because if they're going to sell it, as you well know, on the open market, they're going to have to do mirrored repairs. It's going to have to be signed off on. They're going to have to get all the inspections done to bring it to code. And geez, a cash offer, it's probably going to be fairly within 10, 15, 20% of what if they were listed. So yeah, I agree with you, man. It's so important. And I think to make an offer with confidence is important too, not to be kind of sheepish about the number, be confident in your number and don't back off of it, because people can tell when, if they think you're pulling shenanigans or trying to lowball them, but you're not. I mean, you're offering them what it's worth on the market.
So to summarize, I think look, you got to do things like postcards. You got to get your marketing materials created. But our point is that we just saw people that would just be spending an enormous amount of their time and focus on that. What we felt is that they might be avoiding the people. They might be avoiding the conversation, point one. And then when they do have the conversation, they might be avoiding the offer.
Yep.
They might, because
No doubt.
they're worried about the reaction. They're not confident about it. They're afraid they might be offering too much. That they didn't do their numbers right. And ultimately, you got to get over that. You got to make the offer. That's the only way you'll ever close the deal. So
that's it.
I would say psychologically, if you are focusing all your time on busy work, ask yourself this: am I avoiding making a phone call? Am I avoiding making an offer? Because that's fixable, guys. You can get over that. You can get over those things, but it starts with you saying, "That's what I'm doing."
Because
I feel more comfortable sitting here at my desk working on a postcard or a website. I don't feel very comfortable out there talking to people. Well, guess what? You will, but you got to do it.
You just have to do it. You know, what do they say? Practice makes perfect, right? And that is so true. So anyway, I think this was a good episode. I know we went on, but I think it's so important that
we just don't want you to do the wrong stuff.
The wrong stuff. That's right. Till next week, guys.
Take care. Boom, boom.
Anyhow.